Hi Aquarius, welcome to your April 2021 Love and General reading. I am Gemstone Tarot. This is for Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. Cross watchers, everybody is welcome. Okay, what do we need to know for my lovely Aquarians? We're using the Rider-Waite Tarot. Old school, but always good. Aquarius, Aquarius. That's really Aquarius. There will be an extended reading in which we look into how they feel about you, and we go deeper and do some channeling and some weird stuff, and the link for that will be in the description box of the video below. Interesting. Whew. Gosh. That kept coming up in the shuffle. Four of Wands. I like this. 1111, a gateway card, okay? Nice looking. And underneath it, the Hanged Man. Quite a lot of major arcana for you, Aquarius. There's something of a mystery. It might be a hangover from March. Alongside that Four of Wands, we've got the Hanged Man. Neptunian energy and the energy of the moon, the energy of Pisces, and what is hidden and what needs to be hidden and what's lying underneath the situation. Interesting. You might be dealing here with a water sign person, some of you, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. There is a need very much during April for you to distinguish between fantasy and fact. At the top, near the Four of Wands, we've got the Six of Cups. And the Six of Cups, it's about like smelling flowers. Literally, that reminds me of something. That reminds me of someone. I can't forget about this. It's like a feeling of lament. At the same time, there's always this kind of childhood feel to the Six of Cups as well. A feeling of childhood sweethearts, of, you know, those kind of films that you get on Made for TV at Hallmark. You know, I love these films, where somebody goes back to their small town, hometown, and they've been a city person, but they're going back and it's like, oh, I remember what it was like to know all my neighbours and the dust in this road. That is a feeling of the Six of Cups. Longing, nostalgia, going back. But when you team it with the Four of Wands and the Hanged Man, there is a bit of a sense of this mystery, something to be sort of sniffed out, but not in a kind of, oh, someone's deceiving you, you got to sniff them out kind of a way. More in a sort of fragrant, flowery kind of a way. It's weird. But it could. So you also have the Seven of Cups. And that's where it tips into fantasy. So it's very easy in this kind of energy, which is slightly swirly and slightly mysterious, to start fantasizing about what something could be. That probably would be a mistake. If you could find your sort of fantasy limit with something and not live too much in your head. But it will be difficult because there's definitely a whiff of, I don't know, somebody not being there, or somebody not saying what they mean, or not having direct information about something that could easily send you into a reverie of sort of guessing and making things up. So I would say, Aquarius, that during February, well, February was Mercury retrograde. Anyway, during April, just beware of drifting into fantasy, particularly in relationships or in relationship to somebody. We've got two kings in your reading. I've got the King of Cups, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio energy, but also the energy of somebody who refuses to draw lines. Okay, with the King of Cups, he's on a throne that's floating on the water, his feet are scaly, and it's very hard to see with all of the sort of, I don't know, the big cup and the frothy kind of cloak and the waves. It's hard to see where he begins and the sea ends, or the sea ends and he begins. And it's that whole kind of watery, subliminal, but difficult to catch energy. Some of you might be dealing with somebody who is watery and difficult to catch. And very often with the King of Cups, I find that they may have a very fluid relationship with the truth. Sorry, it's a huge helicopter just going over now. They may have a very fluid relationship with the truth, whereas you as an Aquarian, most Aquarians I know are quite straightforward about the truth. It's like it's this or it's that. You know, I can write it down, I know what it is, I've said it, I've communicated. This is a communication that isn't clear. It may be quite magical in some ways. It may be mystical, it may be a song, it may be songs between you and a person, pictures, artwork, dreams. That's what I'm saying with this Six of Cups. It feels very much in April like the flavour of a person, or the essence of a person, which is a really weird thing, okay, Aquarius? I'm not going to dress this up, it's weird, okay? It's weird. Then in the middle of your reading, you've got the King of Swords. This is your energy, okay? And underneath that, the Magician. This is also your energy. For me, the Magician represents Aquarius, and often the King of Swords too. Now, sometimes people focus on the King of Swords as being a bit cold and as being a bit calculating, but actually the King of Swords is much needed, okay? This is your energy, Aquarius, when you are being efficient. Now, Aquarius ruled by Uranus, so you never actually quite know where you are with an Aquarius. You think you've got them taped, and then they think or say or do something new or strange or weird. You're the inventors, okay? This is what you're supposed to do. But at the same time, there is another side to Aquarians that I've noticed, usually comes out in their job, or if you give them a party to organise or something like that, you find that they are very compartmentalised, and everything is like this, and I've done a list of this, and this is how that's going to work, and this is how this is going to work. And you think, oh, that's good. Especially if you're a Pisces like me, you're like, wow, thank God for that. Your ability to cut through BS and to distinguish what is fantasy from what is fact is going to be really important to you in April, because there is like a sort of swirliness around this reading of information coming in, of half-baked information, some true, some not so true, some like a bit like fake news, you know. We've got the Page of Swords here, and the Page of Swords to me is usually internet-driven, email-driven, electronic or newsy. So this could be in your circle of friends, it can be in your Facebook group, it could be in your colleagues at work or within a relationship. But there is something circulating, or there has been maybe throughout February and March. There's something circulating that requires your analytical skills in order to transform it into something more. For some of you, if you are single and you're looking to meet somebody, you could meet somebody, particularly water signs, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, but you could meet somebody in a very swirly, transient way. In other words, let's say you're on a dating site or something like that, and normally you're very methodical about how you meet people. but accidentally something pops up on there that you wouldn't normally see. And that person turns out to be really congenial, okay, and you really get along. There's some happenstance about this. There's some juju. What do they call it? Serendipity. That's it. There's some serendipity here. But you know, serendipity is always a hop, skip and a jump to fantasy. Your task, whether this is about meeting someone for the first time or perhaps a relationship that you're in where it's become quite swirly and a bit where you don't quite know what the terms are, what the conditions are, you know, where you are with something. Your job is going to be that King of Swords and to stop yourself from going too far down one particular road or another, okay? But also to put any news or knowledge that you receive to the test, okay? You're almost putting it to the sword. And remember, with the sword, you get the sword in justice, you get the sword when it comes to truth. It's always wielding the sword. Just remember with the page that he's not had the training that you've had, okay? The page is where your news is coming from. So the page has a sword, which is some kind of news or truth, but he doesn't really know what to do with it. It's a bit big for him. He doesn't really know how to control it. So just be careful around what you hear and putting it to your own sword, your own truth. And this is particularly for you as well if you are dealing with somebody on social media or in social media matters of your own, like your own social media account. You're making sure you've got two-step authentication for passwords, making sure that communication you have on there is clear, being careful with it, just being careful that your social media, in whichever way you use it, doesn't tip over into some kind of fantasy, even if that fantasy is somebody else's and it's not yours. Also, if you are dealing with somebody where you just don't know how they feel, and I will look in the extended reading about how they feel about you, that's one particular thing I always look at. If you're trying to find that out through looking at social media pages, be very aware, okay? I was going to say wary, but it's not as strong as wary. Be very aware that you need to put even the images that you see on their media account or whoever's liking their stuff or whatever you're looking at, put it to the sword test of your own, okay? To your own sword of truth, because not everything in this situation is quite as it seems, okay? Now, this Magician, that is your energy. You have the ability to elevate something. The Magician's always pointing as above, so below, okay? You have the ability through some kind of slightly weird juju, interpretation, hunches, intuition, dreams, to take something, cut out the BS and make it go to the next level. Now, I like this, but it's not necessarily an easy balancing act for you. We have the Hierophant. The Hierophant represents in relationships taking things to the next level, taking things to a level of commitment, whatever that level of commitment is, such as being exclusive, getting married, getting engaged, moving in together, deciding that you are going to be together at all, you know, that you're going to call it something. It feels like some of you have the ability to take a situation and kind of, like I said, not spin it, but keep it pointed on the sword, you know, put it to the truth test, but your own strange, weird and wonderful Aquarian truth test, okay? You know what it's like being an Aquarian. You find out what your truths are in the weirdest ways that you probably can't explain to other people. Don't even bother trying, you don't have to. It only needs to be right for you, okay? Strength. Some of you might be dealing with a Leo. Oh, I love this. But also with the Hierophant. I mean, Hierophant is Taurus, but the Hierophant can also be the people at work, the institutions that control you, which is never something Aquarius likes, okay? Aquarians don't like to be controlled, but Aquarians do like to be part of a group. This is, for some of you, a work situation where you are kind of using the magic to make something better, stronger and happen, but at the same time you will not be blindsided by fake news or somebody trying to control you. In terms of relationships, this is taking something that is very heady, very floral, very full of potential, and cutting out what is fantasy from what is reality, actually. With the Hanged Man volunteers to stay there, to get enlightenment. That's what that crown chakra is. So there may have been a pause in events, and now it's time to kind of reflect on that pause, put it to the Aquarian truth test, and make a situation move forward or drop away from the sword, okay? 9 of Cups, the opportunity for you to be able to make your deepest, most heartfelt wishes happen, okay? It's very important with the 9 of Cups. It's Jupiter in Pisces. Jupiter is a planet of expansion, and Pisces is like unconditional love and dreams and fantasies. This is where your fantasies, Aquarius, and the things you fantasized about are so close to your realities that it's amazing that you can receive your sort of highest wisdom, your biggest dream, your biggest fantasy could come true. It's just treading that very careful path between truth and reality, but not so much that you squish all the magic out of it. I love this. In the extended reading, I'm going to look at the King of Cups. I'm going to look at how they feel about you. I'm going to look at the 9 of Cups. Also the King of Swords, the truth, what you can do, how it affects things. Yes. Your Oracle card is the Fates. And a lot of this is tied up in destiny. That's why we've got this sort of aroma and this whole kind of magical ability. And Aquarius, this is also making yourself front and center, the magician of a situation. It's almost putting you back in control without you being controlling, if that makes sense. Yes. Yes. Healing with the angels, we get manifestation. That is your 9 of Cups, and the ability to bring something from fantasy into reality, okay? With divine guidance. The ability to somehow travel with the roadmap of the stars, okay? Which is tuning into your more esoteric Aquarian side. There's something about this situation that requires you to keep your magic, but also keep your wits about you and determine the truth from fantasy. Aquarius, I'm going to go straight now and do the extended reading and look at how they feel about you and all the channeling and all the weird stuff we're going to do. The link is below in the description box. Do like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Namaste.